workshop. It's designed to help you get the things you need to know to get where you want to go. It's designed to help you go from point A to point B. But everybody here has a different point A and point B answer here. So we're going to start off. This system I developed is called the Wheel of Wealth. And what it is I'm not, again, I told you guys I took my ACT multiple times to get into college. I'm not very smart. I'm just kind of a honey badger. I'm somewhat immune to stings and bites. I just keep going, very tenacious. A lot of you can probably relate to this. But what I found is that I got a chance to spend a whole day with the founder of Hobby Lobby. He's a billionaire. I got a chance to spend a significant amount of time with the founder of Quick Trip. You guys remember Quick Trip gas stations? Do you have those where you live? Anybody? Quick Trip? All right. And a chance to spend time with some neat people, and they all think the same way, which is very different from how everybody else thinks. It's just a whole new way of thinking. So we're going to start off today by asking you a few questions here. And if you look at the center of the wheel, okay, the center of the wheel, we're going to figure out where you want to go. So question number one for you is, what are your relationship goals? Now, you might want to use your other sheet to answer this if you're out of space. I know it's a very small, limited space, but I want you to actually write down the answer. Relationship goals, specifically, maybe 2 or 3 relationships you want to improve. Maybe you're with a spouse, but you see her one day a week because you're always working. Maybe you have a son that you don't talk to except for on Christmas because you're always busy. Maybe you want to invest more time in friends, family. Maybe there's people you want to spend less time with. Right? But the question is relationships. I want you guys to write down just a few tangible goals for the next year. You ask if 50. What happens is we start putting off living now for some time in the future. You know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Nope, we're going to wait for someday to do the stuff we want to do. And so today it's about doing those things now. You know, beginning to live the life you want to now, assuming that we're not going to live long enough to retire. Maybe we will, who knows? But there's no point in delaying life until we retire. Let's start living that way now. The second question for you, as far as travel, what are your travel goals? What are some places you want to see this year? I wrote on my list, I wanted to see Brett Favre up close. I didn't want to see him that close, though, not cell phone close, but fairly close. And that was a big thing for me. So I found myself sitting like row 5, right behind the 47-yard line. Brett Favre's game versus the Cardinals. His record all-time best game, his last year. And it was fun, but it's fun when you make a list, when you put it on your list right now, and you start to think, right now, I'm going to do that this year. So this year, what's a place you want to get to this year? Because I promise you're going to be that much more productive at work, knowing in the back of your mind that you already have booked the trip to go see, or that you put the deposit down to go, so where do you want to go? The third question for you is education. I view education a little bit different. I'm kind of more of the Abraham Lincoln philosophy of education. His philosophy is that general education means nothing, practical education means everything. Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb, he also invented video, he also invented audio. Steve Jobs, who arguably helped to reinvent technology as we see it. Bill Gates, Richard Branson, these guys do not have degrees. So you don't necessarily need to have a bunch of general knowledge to do things. You might need some general knowledge, but at the same time, what are some skills you want to learn this year? What's a skill you need to learn this year you want to learn? Maybe you want to learn to play the guitar. So some of you are like, oh man, I've always wanted to learn to play the guitar, but I'm 37, I don't know if I can do that. Yeah, you can. Just put it on there. What's a new hobby you want to develop? Next question here for you is, as far as experiences, what are some things you want to experience this year? Something that's just unique, something that's kind of fun. I'll give you a discrete example of what I like to do for experiences, but what's an experience you want to have this year? And we don't want to put it off, we want to actually put it on the calendar. Who here has like some kind of Google calendar where you put everything for work in there? Who does that? You put everything for work in your calendar, right? Success, time management classes say you're supposed to schedule an appointment for stuff, right? So someone calls you and says, can you call me tomorrow? And you say, let me look at my day timer. You say, okay, I can call you at 2. You live by the day timer? Let's start putting these things in there. You know what I mean? Let's go ahead and schedule an appointment for our kids' basketball practice. Let's go ahead and put an appointment to study how to play the guitar. Let's go ahead and put an appointment. Let's go ahead and put it in the schedule. The next thing is, what are your goals to help other people? What are some causes that you're really into this year? What are some things? What is somebody you want to help? Right now we have a girl from Kosovo that my wife and I are sponsoring. And I'll tell you, I work a little bit harder knowing that her family's combined income is $150 a month. And if I don't earn enough to take care of her and a couple other people, then they're stuck. But I mean, in your life, what are the people around you that you guys, what are some things bigger than yourself that you want to help? Okay? And if your cup's not overflowing, you probably can't give anybody any extra water. If you have a cup that's half full, it's really hard. If you're not living in abundance, it's hard to share. You know what I'm saying? If people come to you and say, hey, can I borrow $5 and you don't have enough for yourself, it's hard to share that. So we're going to start talking about how to make vastly more money and how to achieve more so we can do these things. So really it all comes down to is, what is your why? This is my daughter, Angelina. This is my wife. This is my brother-in-law, Justin. But as it breaks down to the specific goals here, my relationships this year, my answer to the question is, one, I am done hanging out with idiots. I have a mastermind group of people I hang out with, and I will not hang out with idiots. Won't do it anymore. Because I don't care about your negative worldview at all. So it's really probably horrible and really bad. Some of you have done this though, right? You have a brother-in-law or a cousin or an uncle who comes over on a Sunday. You say, how are you doing? And he brings the room down. He's like, oh man, going through a divorce, my job, they're letting me go again, president's crazy, the economy stinks. Maybe there's a guy in your sales floor like this. And so I just decided I'm going to purge my whole life of these people. So purge them out of the office, purge them out of the... Next thing, travel. My wife and I want to take 25 mini vacations a year. We were married for 7 years. I won Entrepreneur of the Year. I'm in a limo, and everyone was excited. I turned to my wife, and my wife looks pissed. And I'm like, what is going on? We start talking, my wife says, it's really awesome that you have a chance to spend time with all these customers and all your suppliers, and you're winning all these awards, and you're in the newspaper and the news. When are you going to spend 10 minutes with me? And I'm going, I am an ass. I'm really good at making money, but I'm an ass. That's all it came down to. So sat down, started talking to her, and realized that I'm a huge ass. I get up at 5 some days. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning some days to get things done, but I'm always home at 5. And these mini vacations, we're so excited about it because we know that we're going to be going as a family next week here. We're going to be going here. We're going to do this. So it keeps us energized. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but it creates that family energy. Our next goal, education. So what I want you guys to do before we get started here is I want you guys to think about your family, your goals, and I want you guys to write in the middle here, what does it cost you to do the things you wrote in here? On an annual basis, real number, what's it cost you? And that will become today's goal. So if your goal is to have Festivus, to put your kids in basketball lessons, to travel, you saw mine, you got to do 25 mini vacations, kids got to go to private school, what does that cost? And that should determine the level of your ambition. Does that make sense? That should determine your motivation. Now, as we talk about our goals, I want to talk to you about these three things here. One, we talked about it yesterday, what is your IQ? Anybody? That's your intelligence quotient. And for those of you, if you ever go back to school, get your MBA, or you have a professor who uses the word IQ, and they don't know what it means, what it is it's your intelligence relative to your age. So people that scored really high in their ACT when they're 18, if they got the same score when they were 45, they actually got dumber. Does that make sense? It's your intelligence relative to your age. Okay? The next one here is your EQ. EQ, this is important for you guys to write this down. This is when you have an emotional setback, how quickly, in terms of time, do you bounce back? How quickly does it take you? Some people, like my best friend was killed in a car accident when I was a freshman in college. I knew the kid since I was 2. Okay? You come back from a DJ party all pumped up, you got 32 guys on the dorm not talking, you know something's up. They all look you in the eye. Your best friend just passed away. That will rock your brain. You go to the doctor says, Mr. Clark, you need to come here for this, we need to talk to you. Well, if you get a call from work, the doctor, who has ever had a call like that before? You need to come here for this. I mean, what does that make you think when you're driving? You don't even remember the driver, right? So you pull in, and your son's blind. Well, there's not really an entrepreneurship trick for this. I don't have a case study. I'm like, what can we do? Nothing. And the question is that when that happens, and it even gets me emotional talking about it now, but when that happens, how quickly do you bounce back? Does it rock you and you talk about it for the rest of your life as being the defining moment that ruined your life? Have you met people like this that say, well, since my such and such happened, everything just doesn't seem to work? I mean, we could all do that, right? I mean, I grew up with powdered milk. I grew up with, food stamps. I grew up with, I could say I grew up poor. I could do that. I could just use it as my alibi, right? So your EQ is how quickly do you emotionally bounce back, okay? And the next is your AQ. This is your achievements relative to your age. Some people get a lot of stuff done during a 2-year window of time, and then they're done. Okay? I train farmers insurance agents for a living. That's one of the things I do. I have a consulting agreement with farmers. They have anything called Farmers University, which means they have to come talk to me, and I teach them sales stuff. And I found that all the agents, when they start from year 1 to year 2, they will go from making nothing to over $100,000 a year within about 3 years, and then they don't do anything again. They go from like motivated to not motivated after they hit their goal. Why? Because their lid here on their cup, their goal is only this big. Their goal is 100,000, and once they hit 100, they're done. Does that make sense? So I want you guys to think real quick in your life, real quick. Just write this answer down, somewhere. Don't look at the person next to you. Let's keep it anonymous here. But what was the window of your life where you were the most productive? What was the time? From here to here, where you got the most done. Some of you go, man, I started my business when I was 27. When I was 36, I started, I was 22, and then you had this unbelievable, and then all of a sudden we kind of got stagnant. Well, what happened? Usually what happens is we quit setting big goals, and then our motivation went down. And some of you say, well, I got older. You're only 31, you can't relate. I met the founder of Hobby Lobby. He rides a bike within the 1 million square foot of space, manufacturing space, around. He's the most energetic guy I've ever seen in my life. He said, would you like the water, sir? I said, sure. He physically runs to get water. Why? I don't know, but he's pumped up. You talk to him, you say, David, what are your goals? He'll rattle them off. I want to give away 1 billion Bibles before I pass. Oh, okay. He's like, let me show you something. You go into his office, there's pictures of African kids, Chinese kids, American kids, all the kids from the orphanages he sponsors. And every year, he measures Hobby Lobby's success relative to how much they give away to these orphanages and the kids they sponsor. That's all he cares about. So this guy's like on fire every day because he's got a big goal. You know what I'm saying? So I'm asking you, what are your goals? What are we doing here? Now that we kind of know our big goals, we know what we're doing, now we're going to get into the brass tacks of this stuff. I just know these systems so that I can do more things I'm into. Does that make sense? Like this stuff, I really don't care about this stuff. I'm just teaching this stuff because it helps me through my Festivus party. Because I like Brett Favre. Because I really want to go see Tim Tebow play this year, and I hope he gets to take Sanchez's job. Okay? So let's talk about it. Marketing. Marketing. I want you guys to write down some of these answers as we go through here. Is one, who are your likely customers? Are they men or are they women? Can somebody chime in here? You guys know your industry. Yeah, on a percentage basis. What has more? More men or more women? More men? 3 to 1 men? Is it 3 men for every 1 woman that buys your stuff?
45, 55 men, women.
Is it?
It's almost half and half.
Okay, could you though break your segments and say when I deal with education it's mostly men, when I deal with fitness it's mostly women? Is there certain like different areas that you can break it up and say in this area it's mostly men, this like silos? Could you do that? Sir, could you do that?
Yeah.
The reason why I'm saying this is step 1. Stop assuming that you can market in a gender-free way. Stop doing that. Lexus knows this. Like 80%, guys. Do the research when I finish. You're going to find all different stats ranging from 80 to 70% of all purchase decisions are made by women, regardless of the product. Okay? Then when you get into business to business, that change is almost reverse the other way. So what are the emotional triggers if you're dealing with a man versus a woman? That's the question you have to answer. The second is, where do your customers live? Where do your likely customers live? Specifically, like zip codes. Where do they live? Where do they not live? Where are they located? Where's their office? I'm choosing an office. I want to be near my likely customers, or I want to at least make it convenient if they're going to come to me, or if I'm going to, what kind of things do they appreciate? Okay? The next thing is, how much money do your likely customers make? Because they're going to appreciate certain things, okay? Certain kinds of marketing, and there's certain kinds of marketing they won't appreciate. Give you an example. For farmers, we go after major life insurance, deals, and we market very differently for that than we do for other businesses. Does that make sense? Or when I do the marketing for Can Bar Properties, we market very differently for high-end commercial real estate than we would for the bakery. It's just different. So I'm asking you, where do these people live? How much money do they make? What publications do they read? Is there trade journals within your industry that they read? Is there some kind of publication? I mean, USA Today, I suppose that counts, right? Our Mr. Airplane Hero here, right? Is that right, though? I mean, I suppose USA Today is something they read, right? Okay? But what are some of the publications? Can someone tell me a publication that your people read, your buyers read, anything? what shows do your likely customers watch? Again, if you're in Fox News, how many of your customers would think that's awesome if your company was featured in Fox News? How many of your customers wouldn't care at all? I need some hands either way. Okay, so how many people, if you sent it out, you put in a DVD and it showed you on Fox News talking to Greta about this product you have, how many of your customers would care about that at all? And how many of your customers wouldn't care at all? Okay? This is stuff you need to know, though, because you're going to have to determine what you're doing. What products or services do your likely customers buy? Sometimes we're sending out a mailer offering products that they would never buy. Have you done that before? Can you think about a time you did a mass mailer marketing to a whole bunch of products that your customers would never buy? It's just not in their brain to work that way. I'll give you an example of how you can get with schools, how you can make schools love you. Who is your number one competitor in your marketplace? If they're sitting next to you, just kind of draw an arrow. But who's the biggest competitor? It's important. I mean, at a certain point, isn't it important to look at like what your competitor is doing, and maybe you can do some of that, maybe in a unique way. But if it's working for them, maybe they know the combination to the lock. Maybe you're just arguing with the lock. You're trying to open it, and you're going, hey, there's only 5 digits here. I'm sure, I don't know what the 5 to the 5th power would be here, but there's only that many combinations. I'll just keep trying random stuff. No, if they already know the combination, just look over, what's that combination? Do that. Don't see, learn it here. Okay? The next thing is the purple cow. There's a book I want you to all read. I want you to get this for marketing. If you're not going to read it, have someone on your staff read it. It's called The Purple Cow. It's by Seth Godin. The concept is people like me who grew up in rural Minnesota, you drive by, you see hundreds of thousands of cows. When you see a cow, you're not going to talk about it. I don't go home and go, holy crap, I saw a cow. Awesome. It was 4 legs, it was moving, wow. But I do go home and I go, holy crap, this guy zip-tied a pilot. Right? Are we going to do that? All of you are going to do that. Come on, you know you're going to do it. Your husband, your wife's going to say, how was your trip? Like, this guy zip-tied a pilot. How many of you honestly would do that? If you know yourself, they're going to ask, how's your trip? You're going to remember that. How many are going to just forget it? You're like, that happens all the time. I zip-tie pilots each Tuesday. That's just something I do. It's part of my thing. No big deal. What it is it is a purple cow. Right? It's something that he is not paying us to talk about, but we will talk about simply because that's how humans work. Right? So what you have to do is, what is your purple cow when mailing? When you're doing your mailings, when you're doing your calls, what's your purple cow? What's your weird thing you do? And you're going, dude, gimmicks don't work in my industry. Really? We're talking about commercial real estate. Google it, look it up. And you guys did some fact checking last night for me. If you Google my name, you see commercial real estate. It's hilarious. I'm on the news talking about real estate. I know nothing about real estate. I don't have a license in real estate. I don't have a degree in real estate. And I'm selling real estate. Right? Why? Because it's a purple cow. First thing I did was the people in this area, we have a board in downtown Tulsa, they formed this thing called the interdispersal loop, okay? And they had these meetings and like 2 people showed up. They all paid dues, 2 people showed up, they formed committees, they had bylaws, nothing got done. So I decided to rename the area the SOBO for South Boston, and I just went with it, sent out a press release, renaming it so local real estate company rebranding area as SOBO. Well, right away, it pissed a ton of people off. Who is this Yahoo? He's the 31-year-old Yahoo. Tulsa's been around since the oil boom, and this Yahoo comes in and renames it SOBO. Screw him. So you look at the Tulsa World article, you will see all these people who posted anonymously bold comments about the SOBO. You bastard, why would you name it SOBO? Who are you? People hate me, right? But they're talking, right? They zip-tied the pilot. Yes. Then I get a call from another lady, and she says, hey, I think it's kind of like a misguided thing. I don't really agree with the SOBO thing, but I'd like to meet with you. Boom, now it's called the Deco District, and it's making money. Right? But it's a purple cow. It's something crazy. It's something weird. Right? So I don't recommend you text pictures of your anatomy, but that will get them talking. I don't recommend that you fight your pilot on the way home in zip time, but that would get them talking. But Richard Bronson went up in a hot air balloon, right? I mean, there's things you can do. So what's your purple cow? What's the thing, okay? The other thing is, if you want to go from being a commodity, you have to become an oddity. If you want to go from becoming a commodity, you have to be an oddity. Now, here's an example. You go to Starbucks, right? Who takes your coffee order? Who is that person? What's their name? They're a barista. Why can't they just be a coffee dude? Because the coffee dude would just take a styrofoam cup, pour in some lukewarm brown water. Remember that? Remember that when I was cool? You go to Shell stations to get your coffee? Remember that? That was awesome. When coffee was a commodity, did you remember when coffee was a commodity? Show of hands. Come on, who remembers that? Pre-Starbucks? Now we got to talk to a barista. And people like me who grew up in poor communities who aren't that smart, we say, Holmes, I want a large. Venti? Grande? You want a, and there's all these, there's a whole new nomenclature, right? And then I have to ask, do you want this with this? Do you want the cream, no cream? I'm like, I don't know, man. I just want hot chocolate. No. Right? But now it's worth $3.65 and not 55 cents. You see what I'm saying? They added value. To go from a commodity, you have to become an oddity. You see what I'm saying? So we can get mad at them, or we can realize that's how it works. So being a necessity, absolutely. But also being an oddity. You got to find a way that works for you. I don't know how it works for you. I'm not going to give you the answer because I'm not in your industry. But find a way to do it. Sales. Quote for you, deep thought. If it's not quantifiable, it's not reliable. You have metrics for everything that you want to manage. So even though I'm kind of a weird, zany guy, you better know that I'm going to check my emails and I'm going to monitor. If you don't have 100 calls a day and you work for me, you are out, Steve. You're not working for me. 100 calls a day, baby. Got to do that, okay? If that's your goal, now if you're somebody who's starting out and your life goal is taking to 32 calls a day, I'm going to hold you to 32 calls a day. Whatever your goal is, I'm going to hold you to that. It's quantifiable. I want to know how many appointments did you set? How many deals did you close? Metrics every single day. Some of us, what we're doing is we're not following up with our sales guy until the end of the month, until the end of the week, until the end of the... I talked to some of you guys last night about it, but it's called the huddle effect, okay? But if you play football, who ever played football? Anybody here watch football? Anybody know what football is? Okay, so football. All right, what you do with football is every single play, they huddle. And those of you, anybody here been in a huddle before where you played? Okay, when you're in a huddle, what kind of deep thoughts do we have?
You're sort of talking about your emotional feelings.
I respect you as a person that block. Okay, no, but what are you talking about now?
Well, no, you're talking about how, as you were saying last night, you didn't fall through on your block, make sure you stick with this, and do your job, because you don't do your job.
So what I'm going to tell you guys is in your calendar, I would do a thing called the 4 o'clock follow-up. I would huddle up. If I'm a manager and I have 4 direct reports, I'm huddled with my 4 every day at 4. You know it's coming, hell or high water, good or bad, it's coming. No false kindness. I'm going to give you the truth and the stuff you don't like. It's coming together at the same time. Good stuff, bad stuff, all real. So we huddle up and I say, hey, okay, how many calls did you make today? And you're like, I'm at 72. Well, 72 is a little bit short of 100, so you got to make like 28 the next hour or stay longer. How else are we doing? I closed the deal. Awesome. Closed the deal. Good job. Anything else? What objections are you guys running into? Oh man, this lady said this to me. This said this to me. Okay. And all of a sudden, we put you know what I'm saying? It's the huddle. You meet with your team every day to discuss those things. Because if not, if you do it, it's kind of like steering a boat. I'm not a big boating guy, but if you just turned on the boat and just let it run, you'd probably not get across the lake. You know what I mean? But if you just do micro little turns, because there's waves and winds and there's wind, and you got to just micro correct. That's how the business should be for sales. You got to micro correct. And sometimes what we do is we get a big idea at a conference like this. We try to implement it, and then we don't follow up every day. It's got to be a daily huddle with your team. Okay? Now, some specifics here is, one, how does your product or service solve your client's problems in a unique way? I would encourage you to go home tonight or on the plane or whatever, and write down, what are all the unique ways? Stop telling me how you solve it like everybody else, in a unique way. In a unique way. Real estate. We all have an MLS license, right? MLS, my MLS. I'm your agent. Look at me, I have a glamour shot on my card. That's what we do in real estate. Everyone has a glamour shot. We all have an MLS license, and we're all like, I've been doing this for 22 years. I've been doing this for 12 years. That's what real estate is, right? So you figure out, how do you do it? So you make some crazy claim. You say, we do it through innovative, we deliver results through innovative technology. Here are the 7 ways. One, we make you top in Google. Your house will be top in Google. More people than anybody will find you. 2, we offer a 3, we do a 4, we do. Does that make sense? But how do you solve their problem in a unique way? The next question is, why is your product or service better than your competition? You can't dance around it. You got to know why you're better. In that space, why are you better? Not why we're competitive, why we're the best. It freaked me out if I'm trying to do business with you or you, and I'm like, so are you guys the best? Or are you guys pretty good? And you're like, we're competitive. I don't want to be competitive. I want you to be the best. Does that make sense? I mean, think about your college sports team. Aren't we all delusional fans of our college sports team? Some of us didn't even graduate from the school, but we have all the sweatshirts and we scream at the TV like it matters, for affecting the outcome of the game. And we're like, OSU is the best. Minnesota's the best. Texas University, that's the best. You got to be that kind of passion with your product. How are you the best? The next thing is, how can you prove your claims? Puffery, it's not going to work. Now, I love the question here. He talked about the necessity here, and I want to pick on it because it's a great question. A lot of times people they get these marketing ideas, and you're like, oh, I love these marketing ideas, I'm a big purple cow. You have to prove it though, right? I mean, you can't just make a claim, you have to prove it. That's why PR is awesome. We are the best as seen in Forbes magazine, right? Or we are the best. Let me email you 5 testimonials. All of our salespeople, what they do is they say, hey, no matter what product we're doing, hey, I tell you what, I'm going to set an appointment. We're going to talk tomorrow at 2 o'clock. But in the meantime, I'm going to email you 5 testimonials for 5 deals we just closed in the last year. We delivered a service, we took care of people. I want you to call them and get their feedback, so you can hear from their perspective what they liked about our service. I'd like you to call them. That's part of our, right? So once you set the appointment, there's that 72-hour window where the person who agreed to the appointment is kind of losing faith. You guys know what I'm talking about? I call it the 72-hour rule. But based on the time that I commit to an appointment from the time we meet, I'm starting to lose emotion. Does that happen? You guys seen that? The buying emotion dissipates no matter what you're selling. So what I do is I want to set up a methodical system where as soon as we agree to set the appointment, I'm going to email you an email today with references, and then tomorrow another group of references. So that when we meet in 3 days, you're amped. Your buying emotion went up, not down over that time frame. Does that make sense? But you have to prove it. If you don't prove it, people don't believe it. It's craziness. Okay? The next thing for you is read Soft Selling in a Hard World. That book is phenomenal. Soft Selling in a Hard World. And it basically is my guidebook. Warren Buffett, there was a guy named Professor Graham, and Warren Buffett uses Professor Graham's book as an index. He references. This book is phenomenal. It's not a book you sit down and read and go, oh, this book is just nurturing my soul. No. You read this book and you go, oh, okay. We're dealing with this objection over here. This is how we're going to solve it. Oh, okay. I'm dealing with this kind of rebuttal. This is how I fix it. You start to build your systems, okay? Much deeper discussion than right now, but this is a book you need to read. Customer service, okay? There's a system I call called HRI. And with the phrase we say in the office is HRI and multiply. It stands for help, recommend, inform. If you call me about any customer service question, my goal is to make you feel special. So I'm like, hello, Miss Yellow Scarf. How are you? And you're like, yellow scarf? I'm like, yeah, I saw it at the trade show. We mentioned you had a yellow scarf, and the guy said it was great. And like, I have it on your file, you know what I mean? Or if you call it DJ Connection, thank you for calling. This is Clay. Hi, this is Ashley. Oh, Ashley, what's your fiance's name? Matt. Oh, let me pull up your file. Oh, Ashley, I saw that you guys were the ones who met at the park over there in Tulsa. Yeah. Oh, hey, you guys, But you connect with people. So first thing is you help them with their problem. The second is you recommend another service. You leverage another service. And the third thing is you inform them about something awesome that's going on in your company. Does that make sense? So you're like, hey, I want to tell you something cool. We have a guy in our works for us, and he actually is a pilot. Yeah, it's awesome. So if he worked for me, literally, I would disseminate that via memo, and everyone would tell every client that week about that. And then on Monday, we have a new thing we talked about. Sean actually built the world's largest. Last year, to get on the cover of the Tulsa World, we built Tulsa's largest snowman ever. And you can Google it, it's hilarious. But this thing, we had adult men getting together with like ladders and bulldozers. We built like a 20-something foot high snowman, just massive, And so we told all of our clients about it. It was something we got a photo and paper of. And it's kind of, you tell your customers, hey, by the way, we just built the world's largest snowman, or Tulsa's largest snowman. It's something to get your customers talking. And why do I do it? Why am I doing that? Somebody tell me. Purple Cow. What's that?
Google.
Google. I get Google search results, and you go home or you go back to your office, right? Right? So imagine I just talked to you. You go back and those guys at that ID company are kind of I mean, I like the service, but they actually built the largest snowman in Cleveland. Really? Yeah, kind of crazy. You're starting to talk. You can't help but talk about it because it's a purple cow. Right? So that's what we're doing. Okay? Now the next thing is there's a book called The Service Profit Chain. You guys need to read if customer service is what you stink at. It's called The Service Profit Chain. It's a Harvard case study on Southwest Airlines, UPS, Disney, code for people smarter than all of us. Okay? And it's a case study on how they did it. It's complete transparency. This company's explained to you systemically how it works. You guys understand Walt Disney went bankrupt twice before he figured this out. It's worth the read. You understand that like twice went bankrupt. The guy who's the creator of the animated universe, twice before he. So there's systems in here that didn't matter. Okay, moving on to the fourth thing is the product service wow. How will you systematically exceed the expectations of every customer? Okay, hypothetically, if I was in your business and I agreed to buy $10,000 of something from you, I expect those somethings to be on time. I expect them to be good. I expect them to work. I expect there to be some problems. I expect them to be professional. I expect it, right? But what are you doing beyond that? This is just me brainstorming. Some of you go, that guy's a jackass. I'm emailing a complaint as soon as we're done. But at the end of the day, this is what I would do. I would say, I'm going to mail them a huge fruit basket, like a watermelon with our company's logo carved in it. And then I'm going to mail them a thank you card, handwritten. I'm going to mail them a copy of my favorite book. I'm going to mail them tickets to a sporting event. I'm going to give them a copy of this new video DVD series on how to do this better. I'm going to, and I'm not going to tell you I'm going to do it. Why? Talk to me. Universal law called reciprocity. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you, okay? So it's a deal where if I boomerang, I throw my boomerang out to you, I throw my big watermelon out to you, I throw my big book, my concert tickets. Oh, come on, it's awesome. Our DJ business, we're talking about 4,000 weddings a year, guys. Customers that buy one time. How do we do it? Bride gets back from her wedding, throw it out back, dinner pass for the husband, Starbucks card for her, movie tickets. It says, thank you for giving us the opportunity to serve you on the biggest night of your life. We want to serve you one more time. Then she goes and talks to her friends, and her friends say, how was the wedding? Oh my God, my DJ? They have 15 other vendors are talking about the DJ. Why? Because we're a good DJ? No. Purple Cow, over-delivered. Comes back. Monday, 3 calls, voicemail. Hey, every Monday. Yesterday, we got a call from a guy from ORU. He calls me and says, hey, I want to go and book our school banquet. I mean, they just call over because you do it all the time. It becomes part of your company culture. Does that make sense? We promise here, and we're going to go over and above. If you guys all do this, your company will blow up. It's awesome. Blow up in a good way, not like in a Japanese nuclear attack. Okay. Next thing, how will you deliver your service in a unique way that your ideal customer loves? Okay, I'm going to do a certain thing for a certain person. Like in commercial real estate, I am not going to mail you a watermelon because you're an old man who owns commercial real estate because you don't like talking to humans. You sold your business, you bought commercial real estate and make passive lease income, you hate humans. The only humans you want to talk to are those that pay you. You're annoyed that no one told you when you bought the commercial property you had to actually collect lease payments. Now you're pissed. You're an old man, you're pissed. You just want to golf. So if I mail you a watermelon, you're pissed. Like, why would you mail me a perishable item? It's not cool. But if I mail you cigars, or I mail you, you know what I mean? I give you a subscription to Golf Digest. If I give you, you know what I'm saying? Something that they're going to appreciate. Okay. The next thing here is the Harvard service profit chain by Harvard. We talked about that. Point D is survey your likely customers, 50 minimum, and ask them what they don't like about you, basically. Does that make sense? Calling people that like you and asking them what they don't like about you. Why do we do that? Come on.
Improve.
Improve? Let's talk about the wife effect, the husband effect, right? My wife is a great lady. I love her, but there's no false kindness there at all. It's just, I want her to tell me what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, you know. But there's some people, you'll have ketchup on your face, and they will let you keep that ketchup on there for the whole weekend. And then they'll go back to the room and they're like, bro, last night at the cocktail, do you see Holmes? He has like ketchup on his face. Crazy, right? Hilarious. And then that dude walks in and you're like, hey, hi, how are you, Dan? Hi, Dan. Hi. And Dan leaves. Oh, that's crazy. Look at that. Your customers do the same thing. You know, we mess up, they don't tell you, and then they're secretly shopping around. Who here had a customer blindside you this year and just switch randomly? You're like, what in the world? Anybody have that happen? I thought they loved us. Secretly, they didn't cheat on you. Why? Because you came home late, you were supposed to bring this, and they thought you cheated first. Right? So you got to ask them, hey, we're doing a survey of all our customers this year, and we want to know what you like about us and what you don't like, because we want to take our service to the next level. Could you answer? And I'm telling you, you just watch how your service improves. It's awesome. You implement that into your system, it's great. Point number 5, quality control. Quality control. There's a book called The Value Profit Chain. It's the follow-up to the service profit chain. Harvard case study, awesome. This stuff will change your life, will change your business, okay? But the quality control, it says, what pay mechanism will you put in place to allow your employees to feel the gain of outstanding work and the pain of poor performance? Quick trip, Southwest Airlines, America's most profitable companies, nearly all of them have some sort of merit-based pay mechanism in place. So Quick Trip, those of you, who has been to a Quick Trip? Someone talking about this? Gas stations? You have? Can you maybe talk to people at the Taj Mahal gas, what it's like in there?
The customer service is ridiculous. I mean, you would think that you're in Macy's or gas stations. It's, good morning, sir. How you doing? Would you like to get a dollar donut with your gas? It's always selling something to you other than what you came in for. Have you seen that we have breakfast sandwiches for $1.99 for free?
What about Trader Joe's? Have you been to Trader Joe's? Same sort of thing, okay? But what happens is at Trader Joe's and Quick Trip, what they do is they have a mystery shopper come in per shift per day. So I'm walking in today and you don't know I'm a mystery shopper, and if you don't say hi to me, and if you don't smile at me, and if the bathrooms are not clean, I get 1 warning. If I get 3 warnings, I get fired. Okay? If I get three favorable reviews in a row, 3 favorable, like optimal reviews, then what happens is I get a little bonus. Disney does it too. You guys ever been to Disney before? Who has been to Disney? It's the Magic Kingdom, but isn't the customer service magic?
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? The guy who's like sweeping you're like, hey, you know where the bathroom? And the guy's like, the guy who's sweeping, he's out there sweeping. He goes, yeah, let me, are you looking for a woman's bathroom or a unisex bathroom or well, I'm looking for the women's bathroom. Okay, well, it's right over here, ma'am. And he's like super helpful. Well, how do they do that? Mystery shoppers. So would it make sense to maybe have some kind of mechanism in place with your business? How does it apply? Yeah, I don't know how you're going to apply it. I don't know because you know your business. But there's got to be a way you have a mechanism where if I sell something, I get paid. But if I sell something and you love me, I get paid more. Does that make sense? How many of you know a salesperson who works for you who can sell the heck out of stuff but pisses everyone off? I know a guy, we all know a guy, right? We know a guy, one of the companies I work with, and he sells everything, but he has no retention in insurance. He will sell you your life policy, and you will cancel that beast 4 months later, which means he gets a charge back, which means you hate him. Okay? Another guy, everyone loves him. They tell their friends. Okay? So think about that. The next thing is, what 5 questions will you ask your clients on surveys to ensure that you out them? The next is, what 2 questions will you ask your customers on surveys to ensure they're always improving incrementally? You want to survey your customers after the point of sale, every single time, and incentivize that stuff. Hey, for $10 of iTunes downloads, or for an Outback steak certificate, or a Starbucks, tell us how we're doing, what we can do better. Because will they tell you how to get better? Has anybody here ever a customer ever chew you out before and they gave you an idea that you used to improve your company? Anybody? Come on, it's confessional. I had a bride tell me, she says, look, you guys charge me like $600 to DJ my wedding, and you only DJ for 4 hours. That's messed up, okay? Because if you're going to pay that much money, I should have a limited time. I should, on the day of my wedding, I shouldn't have to end at 11:30. I should be able to go until midnight. And I started thinking, I'm like, most hotels kick us out at midnight anyway. Hell, let's do a limited time. It changed everything for our company. We started booking so many more things because we just said unlimited time. So now on the day of a wedding, a bride never has to rush through anything. Does that make sense to you guys?